Hello, everyone. This is Matthew Fraley with BreakpointTrades.com. It's Tuesday evening, August 31st. Steve already sent out the newsletter. So I just figured I'd make a quick video here showing you how I place some of these orders in TradeStation once again. So here's Steve's newsletter. I'm not going to go through it, but as you know, it's divided into these various tabs. You can also go to the newsletter section, look for the trade ideas. And that's what I'm going to focus on. So let's go to the trade ideas and let's go ahead and take a look at, say, the new trade ideas. So we'll click on this button. All right, so here's the trade ideas. And so let's go ahead and look at some of these. So here's AMC. So let's go over here to TradeStation and go ahead and put that symbol in here. All right, so here's the symbol. Remember, what I like to do is I like to have both a daily and they say a 60-minute chart. All right. So a lot of times on a 60-minute, I might see a earlier entry or a place for what I think could be a tighter stop. So I like seeing both time frames. Anyway, so looking at the pattern here, as you can see, we could also just draw that same pattern in. As I stated the other day, that would be, in the future, if some of you elect to open a TradeStation account and utilize some of these tools, I think this is good practice. So here's the same overall pattern, right? So little cup and handle look to it. Let's say we wanted to go long over this high here, okay? On a daily chart, from a swing trade perspective, where would a stop be? It's always tricky. Obviously, the widest stop I would put it is this higher low here. Okay. So let's measure the distance from here to here. Again, we have this nifty little tool here, which, by the way, I have a major update coming to this, which is going to be really cool. But I just simply hit draw a line. I click the high of this candle. I click the low of this candle. It says 881. So that's basically the distance between the high of this candle and the low of this candle. Okay, it puts it right here in this box automatically, as you can see. And here's my risk. I say I want to risk $250. That's what I'm willing to risk on this trade. It says if I'm only willing to risk $250, I'm able to buy 28 shares. If I buy it here and let's say I'm stopped out here. Okay. And like I said in that one of my previous videos, I wouldn't buy 28 shares. I would buy, say, 30 shares. So I go over here, just put in 30, okay? I have this OSO clicked, which will put in a sell stop and automatic profit targets. So to put an entry here, let's see what the high is, 48.20. So let's go ahead and try to put in an order right there at, say, 48.21. So it puts these orders in. Then this is what we're going to fix, by the way, in that major update. So here's the stops. So I just go ahead and drag them down. Okay. And here's my targets, which I'll just drag these up wherever I want them. You can elect just to have, one target and one stop. I like to have 2 targets because I like to scale out of position. That's me. You could even do 3 targets, for example. So here you go. It's preset. So it's preset to buy, have a buy stop at 30 shares over the high of this candle. And if that is filled, immediate sell stop goes right here at the low of this candle. And I put some targets in. Okay. Here's the 60-minute. You can see them. Now, again, on the 60-minute, you may elect to say, hey, there's a higher low right here on a 60. So I want to use a tighter stop there. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this chart a little bit. Okay. So if I were to set a stop there instead, that would be, say, the distance from here to here. What is that? 568. So that means I could buy, instead of 30 shares, I could buy 45 shares for the same risk. Okay. And my stop, could then be moved up to there. All right. So this is, an order that I could just have set in place now and have it trigger whenever it goes above this price. Can also set this as the buy stop limit so that, if there's a big gap up, it won't fill. Okay. So let's take a look at the next trade idea he has. Body. Okay. Notice it's kind of a bottoming pattern. You got a clean trend line here. MACD is about to cross. Let's go ahead and put that symbol in. Wait for it to load. There you go. So like I said, good practice. Go ahead and draw the pattern in. Trend line. You can see my trend line. And again, if I'm going to trigger over this trend line, I'm just going to put a stop right here. So if I'm willing to risk $250, again, it didn't have to be $250, right? I could risk $200, for example. Okay. Draw a line. Let's see, buy over the high of this line, stop here, 63 cents. It says I could buy 317 shares. So I might run that down to 315 or just 300 shares. Okay. Clear line, it gets rid of that. Then I would just put a buy stop here and I'd put a stop, my sell stop here and some targets. Now let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and zoom into the chart a bit, make it easier to see it. So 300 shares, right? So make it an even 300. All right. So what's the high here? 781. I'll just put it at 781. Here's my buy stop. Here's my sell stop. Going to move it right to there. Now, because I have two targets, the way TradeStation does is it puts two stops. I don't know why, but it is what it is. I just drag them to the same spot. So the sell stop is not active until the buy stop is triggered. All right. It's kind of like a phantom order there. It's not triggered until this fills. Here's my targets. Maybe I move one down to here. Depending on what I think this is going to do. Might want to take some profits earlier, right? And then up here, that's the 200-day moving average. This is the 50-day moving average. So maybe move this down to around the 50-day moving average. Okay. And so then I could just leave that in place and let it active. Now here's the 60-minute time frame. If you look at this, this is why I like to look at the 60-minute time frame. Notice up here, we have our sell stop basically all the way down here to slow, which again might be, maybe that's the amount of room we need to give it, or perhaps there's a little flag here, right? And maybe if it were just a trigger right through here, instead, perhaps we could just elect to after it triggers, go ahead and move those sell stops way up to there. That would allow us to have a really tight risk reward. Okay. Let's take a look at another one. GRWG right here. So let's put that in. Wait for it to load. Okay, so here's that overall pattern Steve has here. I have this chart zoomed way in. Of course, I could zoom out a little bit, but the way he has it drawn, let's go ahead and just do that. So drawing trend line. Go and put the trend line in. On this date, if we're going to trade based on the daily chart, the stop, obviously, to me, the higher low, either right here or right here. Which one is correct? I don't know. You know, if it triggers nicely through here, I'd probably just use this higher low. Okay. So again, now you have to decide where you're going to trigger. Are you going to trigger just over the high of this, or are you going to say you want to clear out the high here? High here is 32.66, 32.69. Let's just say 32.70. All right. So let's go ahead and calculate our risk. We'll do the low of this candle, 246. So it says we can buy 102 shares. We're obviously going to round that down to 100. So let's go ahead and put 100 in here. Boom. And clear the line. 32.70, I said, right? There we go, 100 shares here. The stop, I only need to drag it down a little bit. Put it right here. Remember, because I have two targets, there's technically two stops. Not a big deal. Move them. And here's where the targets are again. You know, probably want to give it a little more room than that. So let's make the first target right at this moving average here. This is the 20-day. Okay. Overall, the pattern here, let's do a little measurement. Drawing trend line. Let's just say here to here. Yeah. Could also break it to here. So that kind of roughly matches with our running target. So we'll go ahead and leave those in place. Initial target, entry here, stop here, initial target, and second target. Okay. Again, if you look at the 60-minute chart, you could also see a tighter flag. All right. So you might elect to buy here and just put a stop right here. So you could just drag these stop orders way up. Kind of depends on how the stock is trading at the time, but that's why I like to look at both time frames. Now, guys, this nifty little tool here that allows me to calculate risk, number of shares really quickly based on risk. The nifty little addition we're going to make here is that whenever I enter the buy stop, it's automatically going to put the buy stop where I want and the sell stop where I want. So I don't have to drag them around. So it's automatically going to use the drawn line, which is actually going to be so much easier. Let's look at another one. NVAX. Looks like Steve drew a tight little coil on the daily. Let's look at that. Come on. Here we go. Wait for it to load. Let me zoom out a little bit so we can see that coil better. All right, so let's go ahead and draw the coil in. Like I said, that's a good habit to get in. Downtrend line, and here's the lower trend line. We like these coils because it enables us to, just buy a break out of the coil and a tight stop, say right here. All right. So I would buy just over this line. Let's just use the high of this line since it's essentially just out of there. What's the high of this line? 245.87. So using our risk calculator, $250. Draw here and here. So that's saying it's a $22.25 2277 would be the difference between our entry and our stop. It says we could only buy 11 shares. Okay. So we would buy 10 shares roughly. We'd buy 10 shares right here with a stop here and some targets. So again, that change that we're going to make, or the addition, it's basically whenever I draw this line like this to calculate the risk, it'll automatically place the buy stop a penny over that line and the sell stops here. So that's going to make it extremely useful. Okay. $247. So let's just go ahead and put the buy stop in. Change this to 10 shares. This is where that addition is going to help, because you see how here all these pre-stop buy and sells lines, they're so close together you can hardly see them. That's where the new addition that we're going to add will help, because it'll just automatically put them where they should be. Here I could see them much better on, say, the 60-minute chart. So there, I moved them on to 60. Now you can see the sell stops roughly in this correct spot. I want to move the targets up, obviously. So there you go. Here's the daily. My buy stop right here. The sell stop is not triggered until this is triggered. Here's our my targets. I'd probably move this initial target down, take some profits earlier, and then have a runner. Okay. So I think that's all we'll do tonight. But this is a method that if you're open to getting a TradeStation account in the future for the newsletters, you could just do the same thing. You come and look at the trade ideas, pick the ones you like, go ahead and draw the patterns, put your buy stops, have your sell stops, targets right in place. And then you could drag them around during the day. Okay. Last thing I'll show you. I honestly have too many positions open, but here's all the positions I got. So if you look at these various ones, you can see these positions I have. BNL triggered today for me. That was a trade idea last night. I already took some initial profits, but I digress. So there you go, guys. Hopefully you find this video useful. I will be doing another video once we get that new addition to this risk calculator added to make the buy stops and sell stops automatically go where I want them, so I don't have to drag those around initially. That'll save some time, make it a lot cleaner. But all right, guys, that'll do it. Have a wonderful evening. Take care.